बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। उम्मीद है आप सब लोग खैरियत से होंगे। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं भी बिल्कुल खैरियत से हूँ। टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट आवर लेक्चर नंबर 28 which would be given in the continuation of what we have discussed in our last meeting, which was primarily about our discussion on the development of environmental policy. From now that onwards, we would have been continuing our study on the aspects of environmental economics and environmental policy as far as the extension of what we have already discussed in our last meeting in our lecture number 27. So dear students, as far as this particular lecture is concerned, in this lecture we will talk about different aspects which includes here, which is given in the name of relationship between science and policy, then policy process and United States environmental laws. Then we will also be having inshallah some discussion on international environmental policy. And then on the basis of that, we would also be having a discussion on the classical economics, on the ecological economics, and the economic growth and sustainability. So dear students, if we initially talk about the perspective of economics, which would be helping us in the finalization of policy regarding environment, regarding health related issues, regarding administrative and education related issues, whatever policy you will have to finalize, the way economics will be entering into the picture will always remain an interesting and very, very significant phenomena. From economics point of view, first of all, I would like to give you the little concept of this economics. Economics is a discipline that deals with how we value and perceive our environment from economics point of view, and then this economics will influence our decision and actions regarding the development of environmental policy. For example, into the formulation of that environmental policy, we would have been bringing into our consideration the aspects of ethics, the aspects of economics, and then how we perceive the environment. Actually, this would be very, very important. And what we value in our environment, and our decision and actions would be based upon these basic aspects of ethics and understanding of the aspects and the contribution of economics, and the way we try to understand our environment and how do we value our environment. This will be actually providing us with some foundation and with some platform as far as the making decision regarding environmental policy, and then on the basis of those decisions regarding taking up different actions is concerned. Dear students, as far as this economics is concerned, the studies of economics is all about that studies how people use their available resources to provide goods and services into the face of variable supply and demand relationship. And then on the basis of this primary understanding of the economics, most environmental and economic problems are linked with each other. For example, root eco gave rise to both ecology and economics, and how this is that something which we would have been discussing in complete detail in this meeting, inshallah. Now, types of modern economies. From the modern economies, first of all, we have subsistence economy, in which people meet their needs directly from the nature and from the agricultural sources. Do not buy most products. Actually, this particular economy is related to primarily with the agricultural and natural economies, in which people would have been collecting their services and goods, particularly consumable products, from the natural system and from their available sources of agriculture. And then we have centrally planned economy, which is the national government determines how to allocate resources. Government would be into the main driving seat position, would be the main deciding authority as far as the determinant is concerned about the decision making of the allocation of resources. And then there is the capitalist market economy, in which buyers and sellers interact to determine prices and production of goods and services. Dear students, as a student of business administration and the student of by being business management discipline, this is the type of the economy with which you have to interact the most during your career options, during your choice of making and the development of a business organization, from the platform of which you would have been producing different goods and you would have been generating certain services for your target market. You have to price your products and services, and you will definitely be interested in broadening your overall target market and to find out more and more customers. So as far as the main nature of your particular discipline of the study of business administration is concerned, when inshallah in coming future you would be applying your this study into the establishment of your business organization, or by being the manager of a multinational corporation, this is the type of the economy with which you have to deal the most, this capitalist market economy. Then dear students, as far as the government role in the market economy is concerned, it is not only very sensitive type of the role of government into the development and providing with the boost and with the raise to its economy, rather it is going to be also very, very significant for the different business organization who would have been dealing with the different business prospects while striving in that economy. Now even in that capitalist market economies, government intervenes for the following purposes. Number one, to eliminate unfair advantages or the monopolies if it has been earned by any producer, by only one business organization in the whole competition. It will be taking actions and measures to eliminate that. Then manage the commons, then mitigate pollutions, then the issues of providing safety nets to the business organizations and to the different aspects of the economy. And along with that, government also meant to provide you with the social services whenever would have been intervening in those different economies. Now dear students, as far as the conventional or the traditional view of economic activity is concerned, I will try to describe you all in this particular slide. Conventional economies actually focuses on interactions between household and businesses, views the environment only as an external factor of production, Now, as far as the major characteristics of this conventional perspective of economic activity is concerned, it will be actually bringing the interaction between the households and between the different business organizations. And whatever interaction would have been developed between the household and the different business organization, environment would only have been playing the role of an external factor into this interaction. For example, as far as deciding about the wages of the labor who would have been working with different business organization, even in the sector of agriculture or industry or the other sectors of business, if they would have been provided by the different household, they would also be having their impact felt significantly by the products in the form of goods and services produced, and then money which they have to pay for the consumption and for the purchase of that product. So this is how this particular factor will have been actually giving the external environment as the role of a factor which would be influencing the relationship between their interaction as household and the business organization. Dear students, now as far as the environmental view of economic activity is concerned, this is that something which would be an element of great interest for the policy makers of the environment. As far as this environmental perspective on economics is concerned, it has been going like that. Environmental economists see the human economy as within the overall environment, receiving from the resources and services from that environment. So now if we talk about this particular diagram which has been shown in this slide for the justification of the environmental view of the economic activity, there are certain parameters have been given in this model or in this diagram. Number one, the recreation of ecosystem services, then the pollination of crops out of this ecosystem services, then natural resources from the ecosystem goods. Then there is another aspect which has been discussed here in the form of waste acceptance in the name of ecosystem services, and this is how the natural recycling, climate control, air and water purification, nutrient cycling, etc., meaning to say that overall ecosystem service will remain intact while addressing the main activities of recycling and the economy. So it is very important aspect from the understanding of the environmental policy point of view, that how environmental view would be integrating itself into the standing of the economic status. Now dear students, as far as our discussion on the ecosystem goods and services is concerned, which I was showing you in our previous slide, you have to understand here that natural resources are taken as goods we get from our environment. So our environment actually provides us with the certain goods which we receive from the natural resources available into our environment, available out of the natural system of the environment. Now this ecosystem services that nature performs for free of us also includes the soil formation and the water purification and the climate regulation and the pollination and the nutrient cycling system and the waste treatment, and there are certain few other things too which we actually receive from the environment for free of cost. So dear students, if we continue our study on the involvement of economics into the environmental policy perspective, we are also available with the classical economics. As per Adam Smith, competition between people free to pursue their own economic self-interest will benefit society as a whole, assuming role of law, private property and competitive markets. So Adam Smith contributed this about the classical economies. This idea is actually serving as a pillar of free market through today. It is also blamed by many for economic inequality, dear students, as per as the justification of Adam Smith is concerned about the classical economics. Dear students, on the basis of that classical economic system, we are also having another aspect which is available with the title of neoclassic economics, which focuses on the psychology of consumer choice about the goods and about the services for which he or she would be willing to pay the price to satisfy his or her own choice. The market favors the equilibrium between supply and demand as per this neoclassical economics perspective is concerned. For example, as in this particular slide, it has been shown to you that with the rise in the demand, supply will also be increased, and it would have been as per the market equilibrium. With the rise of price, the quantity will also be increased. Dear students, the percept of neoclassical economies have been described here in this slide, which actually conveys us the idea of that resources are infinite or substitutable. Now long-term effects are always discounted as per the neoclassical economics. Then cost and benefits are always internal. And it also says that growth is always good. And I also personally do believe in this phenomena that growth is always good. Growth is that something which is expected from you at your individual level, at your group effort level, at your organizational level, that every individual, every group of individual, every community, every nation has an equal opportunity and right to grow and must grow aggressively. Dear students, as per as our Islamic thoughts and the guidance on this perspective issue is concerned, इस्लाम में हमें यहाँ तक कहा गया कि मोमिन सिर्फ वो है जिसका आने वाला कल उसके गुज़श्ता कल से अच्छा है, और इसी के साथ ये भी एक और जगह पे कहा गया है कि देने वाला हाथ लेने वाले हाथ से बेहतर है, यानी कि यू आर रिक्वायर्ड टू बी एट द एंड फ्रॉम वेयर नाउ यू हैव टू कंट्रीब्यूट. यू डोंट हैव टू ऑल द टाइम एट द एंड ऑफ रिसीविंग. सो देने वाला हाथ लेने वाले हाथ से बेहतर है. आपके लिए ज़रूरी है कि आपके आने वाला कल इंशाअल्लाह आपके गुज़श्ता कल से भी और अच्छा होना चाहिए. सो ग्रोथ is not only be the right of every individual regardless of the community, religion, geography, particular inspiration, social or cultural values, and at the end, growth is always good for the development of the mankind as far as the social and the mental orientation is concerned, or as far as the development of the infrastructure and overall scenario is concerned. Each of these can contribute to environmental problems. So this is going to be the base statement here. Ki okay, if growth is always good and everybody has the right to grow, and if you would be growing and you must have been growing aggressively, it would be adding into your overall environmental issues and problems, to whom you have to then pay serious attention and to to address all those issues very sensitively. So dear students, if we continue our discussion on the precepts of neoclassical economics, it always tells us that resources are infinite or substitutable, that जो resources होते हैं ये multiply होते रहती हैं, ये multiply होने की वजह से नंबर में बढ़ते रहते हैं, ये लामहदूद है, ये substitutable है. It certainly tells us that it can be, the resources can always be replaced. इनकी multiplication भी आती है और इनकी हमेशा replacements भी available रहती हैं. Others are non-renewable. Some resources are non-renewable too, and this gives us one very, very important consideration in the form of a question which has been put forward to you all in this particular slide. And the question asks you this something, that can we count on their replacement once they are exhausted? कि as far as resources are concerned, क्या हम उनकी काउंट कर सकते हैं रिप्लेसमेंट को if once they have already been exhausted? Dear students, now three more precepts of the neoclassical economics tells us that it is always long-term effects are discounted. The future is given less weight than the present. इस particular neoclassical approach में हम future से ज़्यादा अहमियत present को देते हैं और मेरा ख्याल है कि ये एक बहुत अच्छी सोच है, एक बहुत अच्छी अप्रोच है. ज़रूरी है कि आपकी फ्यूचर पे भी नज़र होना चाहिए, लेकिन आपका बस वही कुछ है जो प्रेजेंट में आपके पास अवेलेबल है. So, being an individual, being an organization, you are also strongly advised to stay and to live in the present time, but along with that you are also required to keep an eye on the needs of your future. Decisions are made that maximizes short term benefits. जब भी आप प्रेजेंट में रह रहे होते हैं तो आप इस तरह के डिसीजन लेते हैं कि जिससे आपके प्रेजेंट के शॉर्ट टर्म ओरिएंटेड बेनिफिट्स को एनहांस किया जा सके, उससे आपकी अवेलेबल अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ को मैक्सिमम लेवल पे कैपिटलाइज किया जा सके, उसकी इवन एक्सप्लॉयटेशन की जा सके जो आपके पास अवेलेबल रिसोर्सेज शॉर्ट टर्म में होती हैं. Even if there are severe long term cost, कि even अगर आपको long term basis पे किसी चीज की बहुत बड़ी प्राइस भी पे करना पड़े, तब भी as per the precepts of neoclassical economics, it is strongly recommended to you to get maximum benefit of whatever resources are available to you at hand or at available to you in present times. And the further precepts of neoclassical economics also tells us that cost and benefits are internal. Often, dear students, costs are external to the transaction while uninvolved people are affected. For example, water pollution downstream from the polluter. Only individuals will be affected from that. And the precepts of neoclassical economies further suggest us that growth is good. Growth as a means towards human happiness is one thing, and growth as an end in itself is another. According to these particular two statements, कि growth during the process is somehow very, very important. You are required to be very efficient during the performance of the process. कि आपको अपनी ज़िंदगी खुशी से खुशी और खुरम और अच्छे तरीके से गुजारनी चाहिए. But as far as the ends are concerned, ends must also be taken into your serious consideration of your own life, that after you would have been going from this world, what would have been you leaving behind for the people who would have been following you actually. So growth is undoubtedly good, but growth in the present time also offers you with few responsibilities for the near future and for the far future time. Dear students, why are different economies are still growing? This is going to be an important consideration and the question. Some critics have long predicted that limited resources would doom growth-oriented economies and economics, but advances in technology have allowed ever greater resources extraction and efficiency till so far. Dear students, now as far as on the basis of this some little discussion, the impact on the environment and ecological economist is concerned, this is that something which we have been discussing in this particular slide. Environmental economist. Human economies can be made sustainable through improvements in technology and efficiency. There is no doubt about it that through the advancement in technology and through taking the different processes in an efficient manner, we can always available with the room, remain available with the room, and we can always earn even more better economies, more better economic status, and it will be ever growing on the basis of the enhancement and advancement in technology and enhancement and advancement in your efficient processing approach. Now, as far as the ecological economists are concerned, it is actually all about any economy dependent on growth is ultimately unsustainable. कि कोई भी ऐसी इकोनॉमी जो डिपेंडेंट है सस्टेनेबल अल्टीमेट ग्रोथ पे, उसके लिए ये सस्टेनेबिलिटी would definitely become a big question mark at one point in time. Now, economies cannot overcome environmental limitations. They always will remain there, and economy should be circular, not linear as far as their orientation is concerned. If you really would like to make your dependent economies show some sustainability in their trend of growth. Dear students, now steady state economies are there. Any economy that does not grow or shrink but remain stable, we call it a steady state economy. The ecological economists preferred the alternative wealth and quality of life. They maintain and can continue to rise actually. Now there is another aspect of non-market values, which is all about the ecosystem services have value that is not usually expressed in monetary terms, that you would be having different aspects of high value, but you cannot measure them in the monetary terms actually. So dear students, we have some non-market values, and that is related to number one, use value, and use value is the aspect of non-market values which is the worth of the direct use of a resource. For example, जैसा कि इस particular slide में आपको रॉक क्लाइंबिंग करते हुए एक इंडिविजुअल दिखाया गया, ये जो माउंटेन्स हैं, ये जो रॉक्स हैं, इन पे इवन ये जो रॉक क्लाइंबिंग है, ऑल्दो कि इन माउंटेन्स में भी बेपनाह अल्लाह मियाँ के खजाने मौजूद होते हैं, कुछ रिसोर्सेज और मिनरल्स शायद कुछ माउंटेन्स में अवेलेबल होते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम उसके इंटरनल कंपोजिशन की बजाय उसका एक्सटर्नल डायरेक्ट यूज ही देख लें, जो कि यूज वैल्यू में बहुत अहम हो जाता है नॉन मार्केट वैल्यू के हिसाब से, वो रहती नस्लों तक के लिए रॉक क्लाइंबिंग की आपके पास ऑप्शन अवेलेबल होती है. देन आफ्टर दैट यूज वैल्यू वी आल्सो हैव वन अदर ऑप्शन वैल्यू value of those non-market values. Option value is the worth of things we conserve, possibly to use later. ऐसी तमाम चीज़ें जिन्हें हम कल के लिए नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज के तौर पे महफूज कर लेते हैं कि कल हमें इनकी ज़रूरत पेश आ सकती है या कल हम इनसे कुछ बेनिफिशियल पर्सपेक्टिव गेन कर सकते हैं, इन तमाम को हम नॉन मार्केट वैल्यू में से ऑप्शन वैल्यू का टाइटल देते हैं। जैसा कि आपको आपकी इस पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड में एक ग्रीन फॉरेस्ट मेंटेन करके दिखाया गया। Dear students, and from that non-market value, we also have an idea and the concept of aesthetic value, which is the worth for beauty or emotional appeal. ऐसी तमाम चीज़ें जिनमें ब्यूटिफिकेशन की वर्थ और अपील होती है, जो नेचुरल एनवायरनमेंट में आपको इंतहाई हसीन नज़र आने वाले नज़ारे होते हैं, उनका एक आपके मूड पे, आपकी लाइफ पे बहुत पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट होता है। ये जो एस्थेटिक वैल्यू होती है, आपको पता है पूरी दुनिया से लोग पाकिस्तान में नागा पर्वत को देखने के लिए, ये कराकरम, हिमालय और को हिंदुकुश का जो पाकिस्तान के गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के प्रोविंस में जहाँ पे इन तीन सिलसिलों का जोड़ अल्लाह मियां ने बनाया, वो देखने के लिए पूरी दुनिया से लोग यहाँ खींचे चले आते हैं। इसी तरह पाकिस्तान को अल्लाह मियां ने इन कुदरती नज़ारों की दौलत से मालामाल की है। आपको पाकिस्तान के पांचों सूबों में जहां भी आप चले जाएं, नेचर के अकॉर्डिंग, वहां के मौसम और एनवायरनमेंट के अकॉर्डिंग बेशुमार ऐसे नज़ारे नज़र आते हैं विच कैरीज दैट एस्थेटिक वैल्यू। नाउ फ्रॉम दैट नॉन मार्केट वैल्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, वी आल्सो हैव एन अदर type of value which is available with the title of scientific value, which is the worth for scientific research। कि किसी भी scientific research की जो worth है, जो उस research की findings की जो application है, जो उस worth की, जो उस research की finding की application आपके certain problems को solve करने में इस्तेमाल हो जाती है, इस worth को हम scientific वैल्यू का टाइटल देते हैं। Dear students, in the same continuity of addressing the different aspects of non-market values, we are also having another perspective of educational value, worth for teaching and learning। आपको पता होगा कि दुनिया में जो सबसे खूबसूरत काम है वो किसी को इल्म के जेवर से मालामाल कर देना है। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, ये जो टीचिंग का प्रोफेशन है, ये प्रॉफिटिक प्रोफेशन है, ये नबियों का पेशा है। उन्होंने लोगों को हक बात से आगाह किया, अंबिया कराम लोगों को सही रास्ते पे लेके आए थ्रू देयर टीचिंग, थ्रू देयर गाइडिंग। इसी वजह से आप यहाँ तक भी इस बात की जस्टिफिकेशन को कलेक्ट कर सकती हैं कि क्या वजह कि इस्लामी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से उस्ताद का दर्जा बाप बराबर दर्जा कहा गया है, क्योंकि ही नोज, शी एक्चुअली लेट्स यू, ही और शी एक्चुअली लेट्स यू नो द डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ योर प्रोफेशनल एजुकेशन एंड इवन योर मॉरल एजुकेशन। सो ये टीचिंग और लर्निंग, सीखना और सिखाना, ये नॉन मार्केट वैल्यूज के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ये दे कैरी एजुकेशनल वैल्यू। देन द वैल्यू ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस इज फ्रॉम अमंग एन अदर नॉन मार्केट वैल्यू एस्पेक्ट। द एग्जिस्टेंस वैल्यू is the worth of existence of something even if we never experience something directly। कि इवन अगर हमने किसी चीज को जिंदगी भर में डायरेक्ट इंटरेक्शन नहीं की उसके साथ, हमने उसको डायरेक्टली फेस नहीं किया, उसके साथ कोई हमारी डायरेक्ट एक्सपीरियंस नहीं हुआ, लेकिन अगर हम जानते हैं कि ये चीजें एग्जिस्ट करती हैं तो उनकी एग्जिस्टेंस की वजह से उनमें एक एग्जिस्टेंस की वैल्यू आ जाती है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जैसे कि इस स्लाइड में आपको ये एक पिक्चर दिखाई जा रही है जिसमें जंगल में एक जंगली जानवर मौजूद है, हमें ज़िंदगी में शायद इससे इस तरह ओपन डायरेक्ट इंटरेक्शन का मौका ना मिले। हम इसे सिर्फ ज़ू में जाके देख सकते हैं, लेकिन हम अगर चाहे ज़ू में इसे जाके ना भी देखें, इवन देन जब हम जानते हैं कि इस तरह की एक चीज़ एग्जिस्ट करती है, तो उसकी एग्जिस्टेंस की वजह से द वैल्यू ऑफ एग्जिस्टेंस एक्चुअली यूज्ड टू बी एडेड इनटू दैट नॉन मार्केट वैल्यूज। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, नॉन मार्केट वैल्यूज के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से एक और अहम टाइप जो है वो कल्चरल वैल्यू की है। द वर्थ ऑफ थिंग्स दैट डिफाइन और सस्टेन अ कल्चर। हर कल्चर के अपने अपने नॉर्म्स एंड अपने अपने पर्टिकुलर सिग्निफिकेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स और फीचर्स होते हैं, जिसकी बुनियाद पे एक कल्चर दूसरे कल्चर से नुमाया और मुमताज हो जाता है। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, फ्रॉम दैट नॉन मार्केट वैल्यूज पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, always remember that cultural value is going to be the impact of the overall cultural exchanges, overall cultural experiences, the way people interact with each other, the way people deal with each other in their different transactions, the way people greet their guests, the way people feel pride in accepting and receiving their guests, and the way they spend their life. वो किस तरह अपनी खुशियां मनाते हैं, वो किस तरह एक दूसरे के दुख दर्द में एक दूसरे के काम आते हैं। जब ये एक कल्चर में डिवेलप हो जाते हैं उनके नाम के तौर पे, तो उससे कल्चर की वैल्यू डिवेलप होती है, विच इज ऑलवेज अ नॉन मार्केट वैल्यू फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। Now, dear students, market failure. Markets fail when their prices do not take into account. कि markets fail हो जाती हैं जब उनकी prices को एक due consideration नहीं मिलती। Positive effects such as ecosystem services or negative effects such as external cost of this market failure point of view. Dear students, if we continue this combating market failure, how could we do that and how could we understand that? Governments can use various methods to guard against market failure relating to environmental concerns. For example, green taxes का एक एस्पेक्ट है। ग्रीन टैक्सेस क्या है? penalizing harmful activities, कि ऐसी किसी भी एक्टिविटी को जिसकी वजह से एनवायरनमेंट डैमेज हो रहा है, एनवायरनमेंट को हार्मफुल इफेक्ट्स रिसीव हो रही हैं, उसकी पिनलाइजेशन के तौर पे ग्रीन टैक्सेस इम्पोज किए जाते हैं। और जो जो इदारे, जो जो एसोसिएशंस, जो जो इंडिविजुअल्स इस एनवायरनमेंट को डैमेज करने में इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, they have to pay the penalty in the name of green taxes. Then subsidies are there which is to encourage beneficial activities. और ऐसी तमाम individuals, ऐसी तमाम organizations, ऐसी तमाम entities जो environment के हवाले से कुछ beneficial activities में involve हो जाते हैं, जिसका impact positive रहता है environment पे, they have to receive the benefit of that which is available to them in the name of subsidies, dear students. After that, we are having another aspect of eco-labeling, which is to tell consumers how products were made or harvested. Eco-labeling में you have to actually describe to your customers the whole process of the production of that product. आपके लिए ये इसलिए ज़रूरी होता है to make your ultimate customer stay aware of this aspect कि क्या इस चीज़ की प्रोडक्शन में कोई एनवायरनमेंट के किसी एस्पेक्ट को नुकसान तो नहीं पहुंचाया गया, क्या इसकी वजह से एनवायरनमेंट की पोल्यूशन का एस्पेक्ट तो नहीं सामने आया, क्या इस पहलू की वजह से कोई ऐसी एक्टिविटी तो जनरेट नहीं हुई जिसका कंटिन्यूअस और सस्टेनेबल बेसिस पे एनवायरनमेंट को सख्त नुकसान हो सकता है। सो अगर कुछ ऐसा है तो उसको उसी मौके पे एड्रेस किया जाना चाहिए। Now there is another aspect of combating to market failure which is given in the name of permit trading. Permit trading is to use market based incentives for pollution control, कि आप market based ऐसे incentive offer करते हैं उन तमाम individuals के लिए, उन तमाम organizations के लिए, उन तमाम representative bodies के लिए जो environmental pollution को कम से कम करने के लिए इस एरिया में अपनी एफर्ट्स पुट ऑन करते हैं। वो कुछ ऐसे मेजर्स लेके आते हैं, कुछ ऐसी वॉलंटियर बेसिस पे एक्टिविटीज इनिशिएट करते हैं कि जिससे आप ओवरऑल पोल्यूशन के लेवल को डिक्रीज कर सकते हैं, जिससे आप ओवरऑल पोल्यूशन ऑफ द एनवायरनमेंट को मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं। ये हमारे पास मार्केट फेलियर को कम्बैट करने की कुछ अप्रोचेस हैं विद विच वी वुड हैव बीन कंटिन्यूइंग एज फार एज नाउ coming up with the policy on those environmental issues or the aspects is concerned. Dear students, as I told you the complete justification and the nature of the term of policy in our previous discussions, particularly when we were discussing the development of environmental policies law and planning in our last lecture. On the basis of that, I would try to explain you another time again as far as the nature and the concept of policy is concerned. Dear students, policy could always be taken as a rule or guideline that directs individuals, organizations or societal behavior. कि पॉलिसी को आप एट अ ब्रॉडर स्टेज ये अंडरस्टैंड इस तरह कर सकते हैं कि ये कोई एक ऐसा रूल है या ऐसी गाइडलाइन है जो कि ह्यूमन बिहेवियर को, इंडिविजुअल बिहेवियर को डायरेक्ट करता है एट ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल लेवल इवन एंड इवन एट द सोसाइटल बिहेवियर लेवल. नाउ ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दिस, if we talk about the environmental policies, then environmental policies are developed by governments to regulate behavior of individuals, corporations and government agencies. कि environmental policies जो कि develop की जाती हैं government level पे, वो individuals का, groups का, society का behavior regulate करने के लिए होती हैं towards the environment, towards the environmental protection measures, towards whatever has been considered by the government at that time that it is going to be very, very important as far as maintaining the ecological system is concerned, as far as maintaining the overall sanctity and keeping the environment pollution free and to safeguard it from any damaging hazards action and all that. So environmental policies, always remember this something कि जितनी भी policies community level पे होती हैं, पब्लिक पॉलिसी के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, जैसा कि मैंने आपको इस पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड में डिस्क्राइब किया, एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसीज आर डेवलप्ड बाय गवर्नमेंट्स. चाहे ये एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी है, चाहे ये एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है, चाहे ये हेल्थ पॉलिसी है, चाहे ये किसी और पहलू से रिलेटेड है. पब्लिक पॉलिसी के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से गवर्नमेंट ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू हैव, बाय गवर्नमेंट हियर आई एक्चुअली मीन गवर्नमेंट इटसेल्फ or the political actors or a group of political actors or a government representative who would have been assigned with this responsibility to talk about some certain issue. जैसे कि यहाँ हमने environmental policy के issue को discuss किया. So always remember this very, very basic and important and advanced concept that from public policy point of view, only government has the right to come up with the policies in different areas, in different walks of life, regarding different aspects of life. Dear students, now as far as this environmental policy is concerned, it addresses issues of equality and resources use. कि एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी में सबसे मेन लाइन या मेन फोकस्ड एरिया क्या है? इशू ऑफ इक्विटी एंड रिसोर्सेज यूज, कि जो अवेलेबल रिसोर्सेज है एनवायरनमेंट में, जो उनकी इक्विटी है, उसको यूज करने के पैरामीटर्स और पैटर्न्स क्या होंगे? एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी में मस्ट बी डिस्क्राइबिंग दिस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स दैट इट विल बी लेटिंग यू बी वेरी क्लियर एंड अवेयर ऑफ द यूजेज ऑफ द रिसोर्सेज एंड द इक्विटी विच हैज been given through the system of the nature into your environment. Then it is always meant for prevents extrapolation of public resources, tragedy of the commons, कि इसमें कोशिश की जाती है कि पब्लिक रिसोर्सेज के मिसयूज को, उनके एक्सेसिव यूज को, कि जिसकी वजह से उनका वजूद जो है वो क्वेश्चन हो जाए, वो सोर्स या रिसोर्स आपका खुदा न खास्ता परमानेंट बेसिस पे अगर ख़त्म हो जाए, इन तमाम चीज़ों को प्रिवेंट करना भी आपकी एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी मेकिंग का एक परमानेंट कंपोनेंट होना चाहिए. Then, dear students, environmental policy also ensures that some people do not harm others while benefiting from common resources. कि इस पूरी की पूरी डिस्कशन में कुछ लोग ऐसे भी होते हैं जो दूसरों को हार्म किए बिना एनवायरनमेंट के नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज से बेनिफिट होती हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आप, जैसे आज हमने आज के लेक्चर में गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के सीनिक ब्यूटी की बात पहले भी की, जब हम नॉन मार्केट वैल्यू में एस्थेटिक वैल्यू की बात कर रहे थे. इसी तरह यहाँ के रेजिडेंट्स को, जो गिलगित बल्तिस्तान का प्रोविंस है, एक ये भी लिबर्टी अवेलेबल है कि वहाँ से जो चश्मे फूटते हैं, वहाँ पे जो ग्लेशियर्स हैं, उनकी वजह से जो एनवायरनमेंट में नीट एंड क्लीन एस्पेक्ट है, वो जो वहाँ से स्ट्रीम्स बहती हैं और उनके पास अ सॉर्ट ऑफ नेचुरल फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट मिनरल वाटर अवेलेबल होता है, दे कैन कंज्यूम ऑल दैट विदाउट डैमेजिंग द अदर्स. It preferably also remains the main aspect of the environmental policy, dear students. Now, as far as the aspect of science, policy and different solutions is concerned, here we would have been discussing all these aspects. Dear students, science informs policy directly. अनडाउटेडली कि साइंटिफिक बुनियादों पे आपके पास जो डेटा है, जो इंफॉर्मेशन है, जो आपके पास प्रीवियस फाइंडिंग्स है, जो इवन आपके पास इन फाइंडिंग्स की बेसिस पे जो साइंटिफिक थ्योरीज डेवलप हो चुकी हुई हैं, दे ऑल इन्फॉर्म्स डायरेक्टली एज फार एज पॉलिसी मेकिंग इज कंसर्न्ड. नाउ साइंस आल्सो इन्फॉर्म्स द पब्लिक and the private sector which influences policy. Now, as far as this policy making is concerned, science would also be providing relevant information to public and private sector organization. And when public and private sector organization would remain aware of the involvement and the contribution of those issues, it will become easy for them as far as influencing policy is concerned. Dear students, policy is also taken as one path to solving environmental problems. आज चूंकि हम एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी के हवाले से बात कर रहे हैं और हमें अभी यहाँ पे ये पता चला कि एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज चाहे जितने भी हों, जैसे भी हों, उनकी इंटेंसिटी शॉर्ट टर्म है या उनकी इंटेंसिटी लॉन्ग टर्म है, वो तमाम के तमाम प्रॉब्लम जो हैं किस तरह सॉल्व होंगे, थ्रू सम पॉलिसी डिसीजन और थ्रू सम पॉलिसी स्टेटमेंट, डियर स्टूडेंट्स. Now after that, what can hinder environmental policy? Dear students, opposition from landowners fearing loss of control over land. ये हमारे पास सबसे पहला हिंड्रेंस है इनटू द मेकिंग ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी. वो तमाम लोगों की तरफ से आपको सीरियस अपोजिशन फेस करना पड़ती है जो कि लैंड को ओन कर रहे होते हैं. एंड इफ अनफॉर्चुनेटली ड्यू टू योर एनी एक्शन और एनी मूवमेंट दे डेवलप द फियर of the loss of their land, अगर उनके दिल में कोई ऐसा खौफ आ जाए, then it will be very difficult for you as far as making policy, opting to the policy, implementation of the policy and follow up the policy is concerned. Then oppositions from businesses, developers and industry group fearing government regulation, कि उन चैनल से भी हमें बहुत ज़्यादा अपोजिशन फेस करना पड़ सकती है जिनका ये ख्याल होता है कि ये बिजनेस रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स हैं, ये डेवलपर्स हैं या ये इंडस्ट्री के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हैं और वो ऐसे गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेशंस हम पे इम्पोज कर देंगे जो हमारे लिए नॉन फ्रेंडली रहेंगे. दिस एस्पेक्ट आल्सो हिंडर एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी. Now another aspect is the human tendency, dear students, जो आपकी और मेरी tendency है, especially while doing some business, through media and through the politicians of our society, to focus on short-term problems and ignoring long-term problems. ये जो बहुत बड़ा problem है कि आप हमेशा short-term solutions की तरफ जाते हैं, it would be very very dangerous as far as the future needs are concerned, as far as the requirements of coming time is concerned. So dear students, as far as the first wave of environmental policy in the United States is concerned, कि किस तरह यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका में सबसे पहली वेव चली थी अबाउट द कंसर्न्स ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट इनटू द नेम ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी. डियर स्टूडेंट, उस वेव के दौरान जो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में सबसे पहली चली थी अबाउट द एनवायरनमेंट प्रोटेक्शन, इसमें क्या हुआ था? लॉज टू प्रोमोट लैंड सेटलमेंट एंड रिसोर्स एक्सट्रैक्शन डिस्कस हुए थे. फॉर एग्जांपल, General Land Ordinance 1785 to 1787 remained intact, remained in practice as far as environmental policy was concerned. Then Homestead Act in 1862 was developed. Then Mineral Land Acts, we have passed this act in 1866, and another Timber Culture Act was also passed in 1873. So dear students, all these aspects are equally important from this point of view, and if we continue our study on this particular aspect, here in this slide I would have been showing you the land settlement. As per United States policy of 1980, encouraged settlers like these in Nebraska, Circa to move to west. कि यहाँ पे आपको लैंड ओनर्स या जिन लोगों के ने इस लैंड को ऑक्युपाई कर लिया था उनको 1860 में सजेस्ट किया गया कि वो नेब्रास्का की तरफ मूव कर जाएं. Dear students, now as far as the resource extraction is concerned, it is also very very important from the development of environmental policy point of view. This is mining in Alaska in a slide shown at my left hand side in this slide, and at the right hand side the logging in Washington has been shown to you all. These are going to be very very important important aspects as far as your overall resource extraction is concerned. Dear students, second wave of environmental policy in the United States also hit very hard, and let you know that be aware of these aspects very carefully. To address impact of the first wave, for example, creation of national parks happened actually and developed and took the shape of the problem, and then creation of national forecast is very important as far as the second wave of environmental policy in United States is concerned. Then another important aspect of soil conservation policy, which is equally important, and then Wilderness Act 1964 is equally important from the development of environmental policy point of view as far as keeping in view your United States understanding, justification of the environment and all that. Dear students, if we continue our discussion on the third wave of the environmental policy in the United States, it was all about the modern environmental activism and policy which arose in response to pollution and other problems. आपको जब भी इश्यूज फेस करना पड़ते हैं, उन इश्यूज के फेस करने के रिस्पांस के तौर पे भी आपकी काफ़ी सारी पॉलिसी डेवलपमेंट होती है. फॉर एग्जांपल साइलेंट स्प्रिंग, देन अर्थ डे, then EPA and National Environmental Policy Act, then Clean Air Act, then Clean Water Act. So this particular slide has also been confirming us the aspect of silent spring and the importance of Earth Day. ये जो Earth Day है, dear students, आपने भी सुना होगा, शायद टीवी के किसी प्रोग्राम में देखा भी होगा कि आज से पहले तक या कुछ साल पहले तक ये अर्थ डे इस जीरो जेस्ट के साथ नहीं परफॉर्म किया जाता था जितनी शिद्दत और इंटेंसिटी के साथ वो थ्रू आउट द ग्लोब आज परफॉर्म किया जाता है. सो दिस इज हाउ इट इज गोइंग टू बी एन इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द थर्ड व्यू ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी इन यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स. Dear students, then we have another aspect of EPA and NEPA from United States governments. In 1970, President Richard Nixon also signed the National Environmental Policy Act NEPA into law, and this act, which has been converted into law, is equally important from this particular environmental policy point of view. This was created the Environmental Protection Agency EPA by executive order, जो कि Environmental Protection Agency पूरी दुनिया में अब काम करती है. इसको एक एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर के थ्रू प्लेस किया गया था in 1970 by the signature of President Richard Nixon. Dear students, now as far as this Environmental Protection Agency is concerned, was actually meant to direct to the conduct and evaluate research regarding the environmental issues, then it was expected from the Environmental Protection Agency to monitor the overall environmental quality. Then it was also expected from the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that it must set and then enforce certain standards. For example, for pollutants, and for example, for all those who would have been contributing into the creation of pollution, or for example, for all those who would have been damaging the overall environment in this or in another way. Dear students, this EPA, Environmental Protection Agency was also meant to provide assistance to states in meeting those standards कि अगर आपने ऑलरेडी अपने स्टैंडर्ड एनवायरमेंटल प्रोटेक्शन एजेंसी ने इस्टेब्लिश कर भी लिए हैं तो ये फिर भी स्टेट के साथ एक कोलैबोरेटिव स्टाइल में काम करेगी ताकि उन स्टैंडर्ड्स की इम्पोजिशन को सर्टन किया जा सके एंड एन अदर very important aspect of this EPA's functioning or the activity focus would be related to educating the common man about the importance and about the significance of the environment as far as maintaining the natural resources and few non-market value aspect of that natural environment is concerned. तो उन तमाम रिसोर्सेज को मेंटेन करने के लिए उन तमाम रिसोर्सेज को जो कि नेचुरल एनवायरनमेंट से आपको फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट अवेलेबल है उनको सेफ गार्ड करने के लिए कि कैसे उसमें एस्थेटिक ब्यूटी आप ऐड कर सकें कैसे उसमें आप एक एजुकेटिव ब्यूटी थ्रू एजुकेटिंग कॉमन मैन ऐड कर सकें ताकि लोगों को उन तमाम चीज़ों की इम्पोर्टेंस का क्लियर कट एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप हो सके. So I personally believe since the inception of this environmental protection agency which is also working in our country मेरा ये ख्याल है कि environment की protection के हवाले से इस एजेंसी ने हमेशा एट पार काम किया और जो पॉलिसीज डेवलप की हैं वो ना खाली एनवायरनमेंट फ्रेंडली हैं बल्कि एनवायरनमेंट की प्रोटेक्शन के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बहुत सस्टेनेबल और लॉन्ग रन ओरिएंटेड भी हैं. Dear students, now as far as the contribution of NEPA is concerned, it was created the Council on Environmental Quality. ये environment की quality को perspective में इसे create किया गया था. Then it was given the mandate of coming up with the environmental impact statements for public projects and used to have the prioritized understanding of impacts on the environment कि कौन-कौन से आपकी टॉप प्रायोरिटी के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जिनका एनवायरनमेंट पे इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा क्या उनका इम्पैक्ट पॉजिटिव होगा क्या उनका इम्पैक्ट नेगेटिव होगा उस इम्पैक्ट को अगर पॉजिटिव है तो आपने कैसे सस्टेन करना है और लॉन्ग टर्म बेसिस पे उसकी मेंटेनेंस को सर्टन करना है और इफ अदरवाइज खुदा न खास्ता किसी वजह से उन प्रोजेक्ट्स का इम्पैक्ट अगर नेगेटिव है डैमेजिंग है एनवायरनमेंट के लिए डेटेरियो रेटिंग है तो आपने उसको उसकी अगेंस्ट किस तरह एक प्रोटेक्शन शील्ड डेवलप करनी है आपने उसकी इम्पैक्ट को किस तरह मिनिमाइज करना है किस तरह एक मिनिमम एक्सेप्टेबल लेवल तक कंट्रोल करना है. It is given in the next justification to slow down or to prevent environmentally destructive development. ऐसी तमाम डेवलपमेंट को ठीक है कि सब मानते हैं कि तरक्की करना एंड आपका हक है एंड एज वी हैव डिस्कस्ड प्रीवियसली दैट ग्रोथ इज गुड डेवलपमेंट इज गुड बट दैट टाइप ऑफ डेवलपमेंट विच इज डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्टिंग नेगेटिवली to the overall environmental aspects you are actually supposed to prevent or to at least slow down that type of development which would directly be impacting the overall standards and the status of the environment. Then given citizens a say in the policy process. Dear students, this is that something which we have even discussed in our previous meeting जब हमने कम्युनिटी साइकिल के पर्सपेक्टिव में कम्युनिटी व्हील को डिस्कस किया था एनवायरनमेंट की पॉलिसी की फॉर्मुलेशन के अकॉर्डिंग, तो उसमें भी हमने ये बात की थी कि पॉलिसी मेकिंग में जो कम्युनिटी रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स हैं यानी कि कॉमन मैन या सिटीजन्स हैं उस कम्युनिटी के, उनको भी इन्वॉल्व किया जाए, उनकी भी से होनी चाहिए उस पॉलिसी मेकिंग प्रोसेस में। उनकी से होगी तो एक्चुअल इनपुट आपको मिलेगी, एक्चुअल रेलिवेंट डाटा मिलेगा कि एनवायरनमेंट के किस किस पहलू को सीरियस लेवल पे एड्रेस करना है, किस किस पहलू को सीरियस लेवल पे टेकअप करना है, और कौन कौन सी चीजें आपके लिए आने वाले दिनों में एनवायरनमेंट की पॉलिसी डेवलप करने में, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने में, उसको सस्टेनेबल लेवल पे मेंटेन करने में हेल्पफुल होंगी। सो आपके चाहे लाइफ का कोई भी पर्सपेक्टिव हो, पॉलिसी मेकिंग से रिलेटेड है या डिसीजन मेकिंग रिगार्डिंग एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड द लेजिस्लेटिव एस्पेक्ट इज कंसर्न, community की representation would always have been making things long term sustainable। ये आप इनको इसके थ्रू लॉन्ग टर्म बेसिस पे सस्टेनेबल कर लेती हैं डियर स्टूडेंट्स। इसमें एक और अहम बात ये है कि जो चीज़ हम कम्युनिटी पॉलिसिंग की फॉर्म में देखते हैं, पूरा यूरोप और पूरे अमेरिका में ये जो कम्युनिटी पॉलिसिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट है, इसकी वजह से जो कि अब पाकिस्तान में भी काफ़ी अरसे से राइज है, इसके बेशुमार ब्लेसिंग्स हैं अगर इसको सही मैनर में यूज़ किया जाए। कि इशू जो आ जाते हैं, जो आपस के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स हो जाते हैं, वो किसी भी फॉर्मल लेजिस्लेटिव या लिटिगेशन में जाने से पहले आपको बचाती हैं कि अगर आप कम्युनिटी लेवल पे अपने इश्यूज को डिस्कस करें, अगर आप कम्युनिटी लेवल पे अपने इश्यूज की सॉल्यूशन की पॉसिबल ऑप्शंस को डिस्कस करें, सो वेदर इट इज रिलेटेड टू एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी और वेदर इट इज रिलेटेड टू द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एनी अदर पॉलिसी, दिस लास्ट स्टेटमेंट शोन इन दिस स्लाइड is of utmost importance, and that is this: give citizens a say into your policy process. Dear students, now as far as the legislation regarding environmental policy is concerned, it always talks about the major laws such as the Clean Water Act, which was given in 1977 and which were passed throughout the 1960s and then in 70s and even in 80s. So इस तरह के क्लीन वाटर एक्ट वगैरह के जो एक्ट होते हैं वो हमेशा लेजिस्लेशंस में एक्सेप्टेंस और अप्रूवल कलेक्ट करते हैं और विन करते हैं। The Clean Water Act kept efforts to clean up waters badly polluted since the 80s। इसमें ये कहा गया था क्लीन वाटर एक्ट में कि जो सदियों से पानी का बहाव है या अवेलेबल सोर्सेज ऑफ वाटर जो हैं, उनको अगर वो सोर्सेज डैमेज हो रही हैं, उन पे कोई नेगेटिव प्रोसेसिंग शुरू हो चुकी है, तो आपने उसको प्रोटेक्ट करना है और उसकी क्लीनलीनेस के हवाले से बात करनी है। डियर स्टूडेंट्स, इसी तरह देयर आर सर्टेन इंटरनेशनल लॉज अबाउट सर्टेन एस्पेक्ट। Conventional law arises from the conventions or the treaties agreed to among nations। वो conventional laws होती हैं जो different nations के in between different treaties develop होती हैं। For example, Montreal Protocol to protect ozone layer is a treaty which has been come into action and come into existence through the practicing of the conventional law. Then there is another customary law which arises from the practices or the customs और held in common by most cultures, कि जो कॉमन कल्चर के एलिमेंट्स हैं, जो डिफरेंट कल्चर्स में कॉमन एस्पेक्ट्स हैं, उन सब की शेयरिंग, उन सब की कॉम्बिनेशन से कुछ लॉज डेवलप कर दिए गए हैं। फॉर एग्जांपल, रिसोर्सेज यूज्ड should be equitable and one nation should not cheat another as far as the usage on one source or resource is concerned. Dear students, now if we talk about from those treaties point of view, the aspect of United States and Mexican cooperation in the name of a treaty, it has been shown to all of us in this particular slide. In 1990, the United States and Mexico agreed by the development of a treaty to build and operate the International Wastewater Treatment Plant to handle excess sewage from Tijuana that otherwise would pollute the river. कि इस एरिया में जो टिजोना के मकाम पे पोल्यूशन आ रही थी उसको हैंडल और सेटल करने के लिए मेक्सिको और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के दरमियान एक एग्रीमेंट हुआ ताकि उस दरिया के वाटर को पोल्यूट होने से सेफ गार्ड किया जा सके. Dear students, now there are again few other international important bodies which are involved into the making of legislations, particularly from the environment point of view. The number one of those international important bodies is the United Nations, which is the main body of international accord, UNEP, United States Environmental Protection, handles the main environmental issue on global basis. Then we are also having another international very important body of World Bank, which provides funds to the major development projects of environment throughout the world. So then there is another international very powerful body of European Union, which is the government body with their representatives from most European nations, and they also take up the issue of environment cleaning, environment protection and related to the different aspects of environment very regularly and very aggressively. Then we have another important international body of WTO, World Trade Organization, which is meant to promote the free trade among different nations on worldwide basis. Then there is another very important existence of non-government organizations in the name of NGOs, which are operating throughout the world, and many of the NGOs which are well known throughout the world are working for the advocacy purposes towards with their main focus on the environmental aspects and safeguarding the environment from any damaging and hazardous impact. Dear students, the environmental policy process is also goes through the same process which is meant and meaningful for the other policy cycles. In the environmental policy process, at number one point in time, as a number one stage, first of all we have to identify the problem कि असल में प्रॉब्लम क्या है जो कि एनवायरनमेंट से रिलेटेड है जो आप उस वक्त फेस कर रही हैं. After this number one step, you have to go for the number two step, which is meant to be related to identify specific causes of the problem. आपने कॉज एंड इफेक्ट रिलेशनशिप यहाँ पे डेवलप करना होता है. आपने कॉज को आइडेंटिफाई करना होता है कि जिसकी वजह से वो प्रॉब्लम डेवलप हुआ था. देन इन नंबर 3, envision a solution and set goals. जब आप कॉज भी आइडेंटिफाई कर लेते हैं स्टेप नंबर 2 में एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, तो स्टेप नंबर 3 में आपने कोई पॉसिबल सोल्यूशन एंड उसका टारगेट को विजुअलाइज करना होता है. Dear students, at number 4 point, you have to get organized with your that solution, and at Number 5, you have to cultivate access and go for the influence. And at number 6, from the environmental policy process point of view, you have to manage the development of policy actually. And then resolving door, you would have been reaching here. There is the government and there is the industry, and in between the government and the industry we are having this resolving door to resolve certain issues which would be happening between government and industry. People often move between industry and the government agencies that regulate their industry actually. So dear students, there is a legislative process for that, which is all about the bills which go through a long process before becoming a law, and it involves committees, subcommittees and floor vote in both houses of committees and subcommittees. Then a joint conference committee would be entering into the picture, which would have been giving the final approval, and then we are having the possibility of getting it signed through the president, or even it could get veto by the president. Dear students, some approaches to environmental policy has been given here. Number 1 is command and control, which is also known as end of pipe policy, in which government regulations, limits, set standards or give quota sets and offer penalties for the violation of that. Then we are having those green taxes, which are charges on environmentally harmful products and activities which are again harmful. Then we are having marketable permits, dear students, which firms can buy and sell, and trade permits to emit certain amounts of pollutants. Dear students, many subsidies are environmentally harmful. Some example from the 2002 Green Caesars reports are given here. For example, number 1 is about mining. Billions of dollars of minerals extracted from public land leased cheaply. It is going to be unacceptable on any moral and legal grounds. Dear students, ऐसा आप नहीं कर सकते कि कोई चीज़ आप बहुत ही चीप प्राइस पे ख़रीद करके उससे इंतहाई कीमती रिसोर्सेज को एक्सट्रैक्ट करके कलेक्ट कर सकें. Then coal, billions of dollars to coal industry, while money also goes to find cleaner energy resources. Then another example is regarding timber. टिम्बर माफिया तो आपने सुना ही होगा, पूरी दुनिया में हर वक्त बरसरे पैकार रहता है. Hundreds of millions of dollars spent by forest service buildings roads for private logging on public land. And now some approaches to environmental policy is about the that is what we have also discussed before about the command and control, and about the green taxes, and about the marketable permits, which would be making you reach at the conclusion and the challenges. Many factors can hinder environmental policy. Undoubtedly, we have to develop our agreement on it. It is all about creating or influencing policy requires commitment to following the policy process actually. Dear students, then there is the concept of lobbyist, campaign contributions, and the revolving door, which can create conflicts of interest. Then there is international policy specifically, which is very difficult. Then prevailing economics precepts, which can be damaging to the environment too. Then environmental justice remains a big challenge always. Dear students, now as far as our conclusion is concerned, student, we would be continuing with the understanding of the development of innovative approaches which can help overcome opposition to environmental policy. It is possible to create or influence policy if one follows the policy process actually. Then greater public participation in the political process can help reduce the rules of lobbyists, campaign contribution and the revolving door aspects. Then international policy can be pursued in a number of different ways. Then a steady state economy may offer an attractive alternative to a growth oriented economy, dear students. Thank you really very much to all of you. आज हमने एनवायरमेंटल पॉलिसी के हवाले से इकोनॉमिक्स का क्या एस्पेक्ट है, उसकी क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन है, नियो क्लासिकल इकोनॉमिक्स की थ्योरी हमें क्या बताती है, जिसमें हमने सबसे अहम पढ़ा नॉन मार्केट वैल्यूज, जिसने हमें 8-10 किस्म की डिफरेंट वैल्यूज दी उन गुड्स की जो हम नेचुरल एनवायरनमेंट से बगैर किसी कॉस्ट पे किए करते हैं। उम्मीद है आज का लेक्चर भी आपके लिए आसान रहा होगा फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग द पब्लिक पॉलिसी पर्सपेक्टिव, particularly from the community involvement point of view। अपना बहुत सारा ख्याल रखिएगा। नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में हम इससे आगे की बात करेंगे। अल्लाह आपका हामी व नासिर हो। खुदा हाफिज।